And the president, of course, is Twinkle, right?
Uh, Actually, Twinkle was only an interim president during the time that Mr. Wang couldn't be in the Philippines.
Oh, wait a minute. You said she was president. Are you now
Yes.
saying your sister is a decoration that can be removed anytime?
No, Mr.
Did you have
Chairman.
an
I was
election?
saying is that during 2020, we had the special elections to elect her to be the president for signing documents purposes because we
Do
really
you have
needed
the
someone
minutes
to
and the
act as a
minutes?
president.
Do you have the minutes?
Yes, I believe we have the minutes in the
Will you
office.
please submit those minutes to us so we can verify whether you're telling the truth?
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
I presume that this was submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission.
I believe so, Mr. Chairman. I will check
You
so.
believe so? Are you sure?
My memory doesn't serve me right, Mr. Chairman. I will have to check. I
From
will have to
whom?
check. But I know that the board of there were some minutes of the meeting for that board
You're trying
meeting.
to impress upon me that you don't know?
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
You're trying to impress upon me that you don't know? Your record of telling the truth isn't exactly sterling, you know?
Yes, I what I'm saying is we do have the minutes of the board meeting, and I believe that it's supposed to be submitted to the SEC. So I presume it has.
If you think that you're going to play a game with us, we're not going to conclude the hearings until you people come around and provide all these minutes because we're prepared to call meetings every day. We're on vacation right now, but we're going to call hearing after hearing if necessary daily. I'm told by some of your friends who tried to intercede for Lincoln, that you're having you're all stressed out. You're prepared to tell the truth, but you're afraid. Is that true?
Man, we are telling the truth.
No, my question is not that. All right. Okay, now let me proceed. Uh, I have documents here that say, would this be a correct statement that you have already collected a total of 6 billion, 907 million, 6,720 pesos from DBM? You yourself.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If that's on record, then it should be true.
No, it is true, right? Yes or
Yes,
no?
Mr. Chairman.
Because I don't like this should be, should be. What should be is not is. Now, that means you were collecting the checks. And where did you bring the checks after you collected them?
To our banks.
And your banks are Union Bank, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And also Asian United Bank,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
and also DBO, BDO.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Did you put this money in these banks?
Yes,
No, no,
Mr.
no
Chairman.
point in lying. I already have your.
Yes, Mr.
Uh,
Chairman. I did.
so you did, all right. And did you withdraw them afterwards?
We pay them to our suppliers. We transfer them to our suppliers.
Uh, Give me an example of payment to your suppliers.
Like payment to Tiger Phil.
Tigerfield. How much
Um,
did you pay Tigerfield?
what's based on the sales invoice.
Well, I'm asking the question. So you're answering me
I,
with
d- I don't have I
a
don't have
question too.
the records
No,
with
no, but
me
you
right
should
now.
remember, this was the press contract. This is the first contract that you got, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Now let me ask you a question. Who concocted this idea that you guys are going to supply the government with all these supplies? Was it you?
Pardon, Mr. Chairman.
Who concocted the idea that you'll form this corporation to supply the government? No, you already had the corporation. That you would enter into contractual arrangements to bid for this large amounts of supplies that you were going to supply the government.
It was a group. It was the board that
I said
decided
who?
that we would.
Who?
Well, Mr. Ong brought it up to the group, saying that
When
there's
was
this
that? When was that?
post sometime in March, Mr. Chairman.
In March. Well, in March, middle of March. Last week of March?
Uh, maybe middle or start of middle, maybe middle.
Yeah, middle. And what was his basis for proposing? What exactly did he propose? Here we go.
I don't remember the context
I
of
cannot
the.
not remember. This is such a big step in your career. What were you before?
I was just doing projects on the side if I can.
No, no. What do you mean by
Um,
projects on the side? You had no exact
like
continuous, sustainable
nothing.
source of income.
I was really more on a invested in stocks, the stock market. That's really what I was doing. And if there's any projects that I can do, then I would act as a project manager.
So in other words, you're a big time investor. You were
No,
investing in stocks, right? You make it sound like you're big. You must be.
no,
You are big. You said you invested in stocks.
Mr. Chairman, this doesn't mean that you're big time by investing in stocks. I
No, no,
mean,
what's wrong
you
with
could
that? Why don't
invest.
you admit it? How much did you have invested in stocks?
I invoke my right against
No, no,
self-incrimination,
you
Mr.
cannot. You
Chairman.
cannot. There's no reason. There's no connection. You're probably
It's
misinformed.
private, Mr. Chairman. It's
Sorry?
private. Sorry, it's private for
No, no,
me
no,
to
no. There's
divulge
nothing private in an
information.
inquiry involving government money that has been apparently
Mr.
stolen.
Chairman, it's not government
No,
money.
we
It's
do
my
not
personal
accept it
money,
here. You have to show me the connection. What is private about that? You mean to tell me you're willing to dupe the government and then say it's a private transaction?
Mr. Chairman. My
Even in
personal
India, you're not going to have that. Even in
investment,
China, you're not going to have that. Don't run away.
Mr. Chairman. But it's just like
What? Like what? Like what?
I'm being pressured to give details that
No, I'm
I
not being
don't have
pressured.
to.
You're the one pressuring yourself. You do not want to answer the question. If you don't want to answer the question, we're going to go and keep on asking the questions, which is a fair question. You say this is a very big. You got 10 billion. That's what you told Senator Dillon. You got 10 billion. How did you come about getting 10 billion? And you said, "Oh, I invested in stocks." Now, how big an investment in stocks do you have?
Mr.
You know,
Chairman, my investment in stocks
you're
has nothing
afraid
to
to
do with
answer
the
because
10
we
billion
can
of
check,
Pharmally.
right? Because we can check, right? And when we check, you'll be lying again. It's hard to lie.
Lying, Mr. Chairman.
What?
Lying, Mr. Chairman.
Huh?
That's the thing. We've been painted as liars, plunderers, scammers, smugs,
What do you
everything
call
since
it?
day one.
You mean to tell me you got your cars just like that? While everybody's suffering, you got a nice car, you give it to your sister as a gift, you don't even pay your taxes? So how do I picture that? At the very least, I'll call you, you took advantage of a very bad situation in our country. And you're trying to say you're an angel? You're not an angel, my friend. Don't try to paint yourself something that you're clearly not. Now answer the question. I asked you a question.
Mr. Chairman, uh,
Before
my
this,
inv-
you were a stockbroker, right?
not
You
a
invested in
stockbroker.
stocks.
Stock.
You invested in stocks. My mistake. Yes, Senator Dillon.
Yes. Can I go to another topic? Ask questions of Mr. Dargani. Mr.
Okay,
Dargani,
we'll give him a breather.
yes, your financial statements indicate that you purchased from suppliers approximately 7,092,000,000 in medical supplies, PPEs, face masks, face shields, which you which supplies were the ones that you sold to PSDBM in fulfillment of your contracts. Would you confirm that you're in your financial statements? If you look at it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, whatever is in our financial statements is accurate.
Seven, recall your financial statements saying cost of sales 7,092,000,000. Who are your suppliers, Mr. Dargani?
I believe Mr. Lincoln Ong has already provided it and it was already read by
Sorry, sir.
Mr.
Sorry.
Chairman.
Ano?
I believe Mr. Ong has already provided the list of our suppliers, and Mr. Chairman has already read it.
All right. Okay, Mr. Ong is here. Mr. Ong, do you
Excuse me.
recall
Please
of
try
our
to
suppliers?
avoid sending him out.
Huh?
Mr. Ong just said, mentioned this guy, and as if he told me a lot. He doesn't told me a lot. He just said, "Oh, I made a quick fix. I went to Tiger Phil, and then after Tiger Phil was discovered, oh, they went to Green Trends, right? Yung ba supplier ninyo? You know,
Mr. Chairman,
I have a hard. You're gonna
Tiger
really have
Phil
a hard
is
time.
one of my supplier.
I'm
Who's
sorry.
answering?
Sir, would you mind
I
removing
thought you
your
were going
mask
to
kung
answer
wala namang
anyway.
tao dyan? I can hardly hear you, Mr. Ong. My question is, who are your major suppliers from whom you got your supplies that you in turn delivered to PSDBM in fulfillment of your obligations under your contract, under your under your supply contract? Yeah, who are these?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the mask, we have two suppliers. Number one is Tiger Phil. Number two is Wang Jie. For the PPE, as I mentioned in several hearings already, we seek the help of Mr. Yang, and I already furnished the committee a list of the suppliers from the side of Mr. Yang. And then for the BGI test kits, we have BGI as a manufacturer, as the supplier, Your Honor.
Would you have also an indication of, in your submission to us, of how much did you, uh, how much in terms of purchases did you make from each of your supplier?
I did not include that, Mr. Chairman.
Can you now include that because that is in your financial statements? Can you submit? Can we have documents to support the, or at least for you to be able to tell us who are your suppliers, as you have just mentioned, and how much contract or how much did you purchase from them individually?
I have to seek the guidance of our counsel, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry? If
I
you
have
can,
to seek advice.
you have to what?
I have to seek advice from my counsel muna, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. You have submitted this. You have submitted your financial statements to the committee. We are asking for the support documents on what you have submitted as financial statements because your external auditor, Ms. Sibyal, said she did not see any support documents. Uh, so that's why I'm asking, uh, can you submit to us the documents in support of the purchases that you made from your suppliers?
Uh, putol. Ba't nawala? Wala.
Hello, can you hear me? Mr.
Yeah, nawala po, Mr. Chairman. Nawala po.
How can you hear me now?
Yes po. I can hear you now, Mr. Chairman.
My question is, your financial audited financial statements indicate a total of 7,092,000,000 in round figures as cost of sales, meaning this is what you paid your suppliers, which enabled you to fulfill your obligations with PSDBM. Question, would you, I asked you the question, who are these suppliers? And you stated who are the suppliers. The next question is, can you can you tell us how much is the contract of each of your supplier, which corresponds to the 7,092,000,000 as your cost of sales?
Mr. Chairman, I got your question, Mr. Chairman. As I said, I'll have to seek the advice of our counsel before committing anything to this committee.
All right, because I'm telling you that when we ask these questions, which are already on record insofar as portions of the answers are concerned, in this particular case, you have submitted, your company has submitted audited financial statements. Your audited financial statements indicate the cost of sales. You have already indicated who are the suppliers that you have contracted to, starting with Tiger Marketing and the rest of the suppliers. The next question I ask is, how much are these contracts that you have entered into with your suppliers? Now you are refusing to answer my question after answering on record all these questions that you earlier made. You are insisting that you would not want to answer these questions.
Uh, Mr. Chairman, allow me to seek advice from my counsel.
All right. So, can you tell us that in the? Can you tell us your counsel's advice at the next hearing?
Definitely, Mr. Chairman. Whatever is the conclusion, I will definitely relay to this committee, Mr. Chairman.
Um, we have no more questions on Mr. Ong, Mr. Chairman, uh, because he could not. We will have to await advice of his counsel. Um, Yes, that's all in the meantime, Mr. Chairman. I will yield the floor to whoever of my colleagues who would still have questions. I have no more questions in the meantime. On Mr. Ong, there is a pending question. He will consult his counsel, and therefore we will await for his response after he has consulted his counsel, which he is entitled to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I don't quite agree with that, Senator Dillon, because he has already submitted the documents and we can confront him with those documents. But if he wants to kill time, we're happy to accommodate him. He can consult his client's
Well,
counsel until he's blue in the face. We are allowed to confront him with the document that he submitted.
yes, we will examine those documents if Mr. Ong does not cooperate.
Mr. Ong, what is so
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
secret that you have to consult your counsel about your suppliers?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just being careful. I don't want to incriminate myself. I don't know what are the
That's trouble
implications.
enough. And it doesn't mean that we're trying to abuse you. I'm just asking a simple question. Did you not supply PSDBM with supplies coming from your these suppliers of yours?
Yes, we supply the PSDBM.
All right. If you have them, why can't you answer their give us their names? How much,
Mr. Chairman,
what
I already
did you get
submitted
from
to the
them? How much
committee.
did you pay them?
Well, Mr.
You're not in the
Chairman,
business of manufacturing, right? Are you in the business of manufacturing these supplies?
no, Mr. Chairman.
So in effect, you actually lied to when you bidded.
I cannot comment on
You
that.
say that you are technically equipped. How can you say that you're financially equipped when on your very first contract, you right away turn around and try to buy from another contractor? And how can Mr. Lau give it to you when in reality, he is required to sell to you, but if you cannot provide it without going to another contractor in the country, then he is caught not doing his job because there are other suppliers, and at the same time, you have cheated the government because you got it for a lower price and now double it, and then with two different suppliers, and now you're trying to sell us an overprice. Isn't that an overprice?
Mr. Chairman, I cannot comment on that.
Yes, you can.
I
It's
invoke
business
myself.
secret, right?
I
But let me
invoke
ask
my
you,
rights against self-incrimination, Mr.
no, no, no,
Chairman.
you're not incriminating you. You've already incriminated yourself. I don't buy it. I'm not abusing you. You already presented the documents. I'm trying to confront you with it. How What do you think? The government is totally helpless? That you have phantom suppliers? That you have phantom money that you acquired that you don't want to tell us? There's so many laws that they can tell. The corporation law, as you say, or the money laundering law that requires banks to accept your money based on the, are you familiar with this person? I'll give you time to think about it. Let me go to Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang,
Yes, Mr.
a few
Chairman.
hearings ago, you said, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to confront you with what you stated last time. What did you say? You told us that you had 500 million coming emanating out of a letter credit from Union Bank. Did you not?
Mr. Chairman, I admit that I made a
The question is simple. Can you answer yes or no, and then you can explain?
yes on an earlier hearing. I did state
Excuse
on
me.
record. On an earlier hearing, I did state on record that we have a letter of
So
credit
you
of.
did say that, right?
I did say that, but
How can you forget $500 million or 500 million pesos and say, we've gone through this before, that you got a letter of credit? How can you say now, when confronted, you say you got a certificate of deposit, right?
it was a certificate of credit, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
certificate of credit. Okay, all right. So, and did you have a guarantee for that?
I cannot recall the exact details, Mr. Chairman. I'll go back and
You
check.
are not here to be fooled around with. You say
No,
something and then you withdraw it, and then now you say, I cannot recall. Those
Mr.
are
Chairman,
it's a fraud.
Mr.
Are
Chairman,
you
I
a fraud?
apologize
Are you a
if
fraud?
no, Mr. Chairman, I'm not a
Of course, you
fraud.
say no, but in reality, you can't remember something as big as that. 500 million? You cannot remember?
Mr. Chairman, I really apologize for making the wrong statement. If I said anything wrong, I'm always willing to correct myself
But
if
that's why
there's
I'm
any.
asking you to correct it now.
We do not have a letter of credit of 500 million.
Certificate of deposit issued to you? Deposit ba? Yeah. By the way, what do you mean by a certificate of deposit? Is it deposit or
Credit,
certificate of what?
certificate of credit.
Credit,
From what
certificate of credit. All right.
I think the
I'm
certificate of
sorry,
credit,
I'm not as rich as you are. What do you mean by a certificate of credit?
I believe, based on what I was told, the certificate of credit was necessary for our PPE projects in 2021 to as part of our, I think, if I really cannot remember the exact detail, is to be part of the a documentary requirements for us to participate in the 2021 PPE projects. Just based on what I remember, and I really apologize again if I made that mistake on record. We never had a letter of credit of 500 million.
I think you really are a nice man at heart, nice young man at heart who's gotten way above his head in all these troubles. And I try to sympathize with you, but I will sympathize with you better if you're more forthright. Because I know you got into this and now you can't remember. It looks very, very bad on you. You think that there are millions of people out there watching you and you cannot remember 500 million? That's impossible. You know
I
that.
think I
I
think
you know that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may clarify on one point, I believe we that there was a understanding that we remitted money into PPC's Philippine accounts from overseas. There was never such an instant. If there's any of where how I was able to fund one of the projects for the Brexit, it was I paid on behalf first overseas on behalf of the company. So I think that was the part where there was assumption that perhaps we emitted foreign currencies into the company from abroad. There was never such a case.
And then, if you remitted money, then you declared it, right? When you brought it in.
Yes, if there was any we brought in, we would declare it
The
definitely.
memory serves correct. I can remember what you remitted. As you say, you had $600 million pesos from your savings. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, I did not say that.
Oh, yes, you did. Shall I check the transcript?
I said
In
we
fact, you
have
deposited at Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. Di ba? You got it there?
no. I said I funded the projects overseas through my own personal banks.
Precisely. Where did you bring that money? Here?
No, I paid the suppliers from my own personal accounts
And where is that personal account?
in HSBC Bank in Singapore.
Is it Hong Kong or Singapore?
Singapore is HSBC, Singapore.
Okay. So, and based on that, you funded it. And how did you fund it? You had to bring the money here, right?
No, I did not bring the money. I paid on behalf of the company first as advance payments for the company.
Excuse me?
I paid on behalf of the company personally first for the supplies.
It's so hard to talk to you, you know. You whisper and you try to be as humble as you can. I sympathize with you. Somebody called me about you and said, he's a very kind man. He's a nice man. And, you know, I
Um,
don't know why I should be called by somebody when in fact and he said you were willing to tell the truth already, but, you know, there are some reservations, but it's all right.
well,
The
Mr.
truth that a
Chairman,
certificate of credit is documentary proof of the existence of an underlying line of credit.
Mr. Chairman, if I may share my perspective on this, I hope you don't take offense. I believe the transactions between Pharmally and the government is as a buyer and a seller.
My question, please answer my question. You ought to know that, you know. Simple lang yan. It's very simple. Isn't it true that a certificate of credit is documentary proof of the existence of an underlying line of credit?
I don't know exact word detail time, but I think the amount of to receive that certification of credit, we use our collections from the government.
I guess we'll be seeing each other for a longer time. I'm not going to waste my time with you. We'll have to come back again and again and again until you tell the truth. Because, you know, how can you not know that you have an existing line of credit somewhere and you cannot even remember where? Let me ask you another question. Since Pharmally only has 625,000 pesos in capital, who provided that credit? Maybe that's easier for you to answer. You're the chairman. Remember, you're the chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If can you repeat the question? Sorry, I didn't hear it correctly.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. Since Pharmally only has 625,000 pesos in capital, all right? Who provided that credit?
Who provided the credit?
The credit.
Mr. Chairman, for some of the projects, as my partner has stated,
Which partner? Please specify which partner.
for the first project, Mr. Lincoln Ong was able to secure the supplies.
No, I want to know the name of your partner.
My partners are Mr. Lincoln Ong, Mr. Mohit Dagani, and Ms. Twinkle Dagani. Those are my partners.
Did they provide the credit, or did you you claim you provided the credit?
Mr. Chairman, the certificate of credit received was based on what was in our bank accounts at the time, and I think 100% of that came from our collections from the government.
So the government funded you in advance.
No, never. We never received a single peso of
You
advance.
just said it. The government, most of that account came from the government. Are you trying to?
No, Mr. Chairman. When we deliver some goods and we receive money from the governments for that collection, before we pay back to our suppliers, there is a time period that it stays in our bank. And during that time, we use that money to receive a certificate of credit. And that's how we're able to get it. That is the truth.
I'm trying to decipher what you're saying. You can't seem to give me a specific answer. First, you say you have money of your own, then you say you have a line of credit. And no, even first, you said you got a letter of credit from, well, you know what ticked me off last time, remember? I got upset with you.
Yes, I remember.
you did not even tell me that the bank had written you and that they said to you that you have no line of credit. Please explain. Why are you claiming that you have a, what do you call it?
Certificate.
Credit line brought about by you, and then they probably told you because you said that you had what do you call that phrase? Um, uh, uh, you know, it's getting to be really exasperating. But you say that you have that, and then Singapore, and then Union Bank called your attention, and then you changed it to a line of credit afterwards.
Certificate of
Get a
credit.
credit letter of credit from. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really getting tired. Letter of credit, di ba? That was the original statement that you made, and then you changed it to a line of credit.
Mr. Chairman,
Certificate of credit. That's
yeah,
what you said.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry if
And when I ask you, then you can't even explain to me what that certificate means. Then you have 600 million pesos that you brought in. No, you didn't have to bring it. It was in Hong Kong, Shanghai Bank, and Singapore, correct? And now you're telling me, when I asked you, you said you got money from the government from what they paid you. So that means they were spotting you. Mr. Lau was spotting your company.
no, Mr. Chairman, our collections are only from what the previous deliveries that we have delivered.
Because I'm not getting anywhere with you on this one, because obviously you don't want to tell the truth. I'm going to ask you another question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Who did you pay? And for what amounts? And for what quantities? Give me a Singapore payment made by you.
Mainly, the Singapore payments are mainly for the Merx's deliveries.
Sorry?
A-Star 42 kits.
The test kits?
Test kits. A-Star test kits.
660 million, right?
The contract value of that is 660 million. Yes.
That's right. And where did you get the money to pay for that?
Mr. Chairman, as I said before, I did not have 660 million or even close to that. What we did was we will pay partially for because there's a schedule of deliveries for the products. So we will pay for the amount that was scheduled to be delivered, and when it will be is a sequence of cash flow planning. So we'll pay for some, hope to receive some back, and we'll pay for it again. So that was what we did. So it was difficult, very difficult.
My gosh, you're taking us around and around and around, and you can't even answer a specific question. So, it's your call. Yes, Senator Pangilinan.
Just very quickly with Mr. Wang. Did you ever deal with Philippine United Technic Corporation?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm
Never?
not aware of that company at all.
So you're not familiar with them being the exclusive distributor of BGI?
No, throughout this time I was very rarely in the Philippines, so I
Did
really don't.
you did you have exclusive distributorship of BGI in 2020?
I believe my partners told me that it was not exclusive. We had distribution rights, non-exclusive.
So did you have distribution rights in 2020 or 2021?
I believe both. To do the projects, we need to have distribution rights. So both years, I believe we have distribution rights.
Do you have copies of these distribution rights? Was this submitted? Was this presented during the bid?
I believe in the bids we have to submit that distribution right authority. And yes,
But do you have copies?
Just one question. Which bank gave you the certificate of credit?
it was Union Bank.
Union Bank.
Yes.
That's why they called your attention, right?
Yes.
And how did you guarantee that payment?
We didn't utilize that certificate at all, Mr.
Now you
Chairman.
did not utilize it.
We did not utilize. I said there is, but I never utilized it. because
What did you used to pay? You know, it's pathetic. What did you used to pay them?
What was the point of saying it if that was not the source of the payment when that was the question, Mr. Chairman?
I, I, if maybe I didn't understand the first question the first time when Mr. Chairman asked me, I really apologize for that. I assumed the question was, did you have any line of credit from any bank? And just out of my head, I remember there was one, and I said it, and I didn't have the source document. But I apologize, really, if I made that confusion. And
Just one last point on the distributorship, Mr. Chairman. We may administrative matter. If we can request the committee to subpoena the dealership agreement of Pharmally with BGI. I believe the FDA would have this as well as the DBMPS. Would the FDA have this? Because you are required to submit such agreements. Is that not right? Before you get your certification.
yes, I believe they are part of the requirements. So
Yes.
we definitely will have that, I think.
When you say we, who's we?
The company, when I say we refer to the company, Pharmally
But
Pharmaceutical.
you don't have your own files in Singapore, would you?
No, I was overseas, so I don't have access to but I will ask the company to
Yes,
submit
please. If
this.
you can ask them to submit the dealership agreement with BGI in 2020 and 2021.
Yes, I will
Yes.
ask them.
Thank you for your cooperation. I have no other questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Now, let me ask you a question, Mr. Wang. How did you pay your suppliers? Checks or cash?
For which I think for most of our suppliers are overseas, so we would do forex telex, if my memory is right. Yeah.
No, but your memory has to be accurate because you're the chairman. How can you tell me that you cannot remember na naman?
I
Hey,
try-
you're really testing our patience, you know?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to be overconfident on any statement, and I did make a wrong statement before, so I want to be sure every time. Now, understand?
Well, let me go to another question then. How do you pay your suppliers and the people from whom you borrowed money? Did you borrow money from Mr. Michael Yang? You said that.
As Mr. Chairman, as I said, I wasn't in the Philippines during the time, the whole time, and it's really I wasn't involved on the mind to the details, the exact details of it. So I believe there's agreement between Mr. Lincoln Ong and Mr. Michael Yang, and I'm not privy to that agreement, you know. And really, Mr. Michael Yang doesn't know of my existence in the company. That this really, I have to state on record. He helped Mr. Lincoln on and by doing so helped the company, but he does not know of my existence. I was ashamed to go to him myself.
You were ashamed.
Yes, because of what transpired between perhaps my father and
So that your father and he had a falling out because you were competing with one another. And yet he came to your rescue because you're your father's son, right?
no, he does not know of my existence until this Senate investigation at all.
Come on, come on, come on, come
Really,
on.
really,
Okay,
Mr.
so
Chairman.
let me go to another question then. The fact that you have a credit certificate means Union Bank gave credit in your behalf, whether you use it or not, is not relevant to the fact that Union Bank must have a collateral to give that kind of credit line. What collateral is that, and where did it come from? Did you have land? Did you have shares of stock? Did you have bond certificates? Did you have money, cash, etc.?
Mr. Chairman, the moment when we receive collections from the government, there will be a time lapse between when we pay our suppliers. You know, there will be a time lapse where the money will be in our bank accounts.
Do you speak
And
Tagalog?
no, Mr. Chairman, sorry, I don't.
In other words, in Tagalog, niluluto mo kami sa sarili naming mantika. You're using the money of the government and you're frying us in our own lard.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say something,
You can.
I hope I wanted to show you my standpoint. The position of Pharmally is not an agent of the procuring entity. We did not take the money. We're not tasked by the agent, the procuring entity, to buy on behalf. It's
Uh,
it's
Did
a
you buy yourself a nice car like Mr. Gargani? Did you buy yourself a nice car, two cars like Mr. Lincoln Ong? Did you buy your girlfriend a car like Mr. Gargani? Your sister a car like Mr. Gargani? An expensive 18 million pesos only car.
Mr. Chairman.
That means that you made money, right? These guys made money. How did may I talk to Mojit? Mojit, where did you get the money to buy the car again?
As I mentioned, Mr. Chairman, I asked for a shareholders advances from the company this year.
So you asked for a shareholders advance, and they gave it to you.
Yes, I requested the board if I can. Yes,
And do you have a document to prove that?
It's verbal, I think.
it's verbal agreement.
Verbal agreement. And do you know that when you have an advance payment from the bank, from your company, you have to pay documentary stamp tax on that, right?
We will do so.
Oh, you
These
will
are
do
also
so.
learning from us. So,
Do you realize? I wish you'd step back. You know what you guys should do? Step back and try to wiggle yourself because, you know, it shows that talagang you get upset with us that you're lying. You are. You are. You are not only lying, yet you're feasting on money that was provided to you by my countrymen in taxes, and you're buying yourself nice vehicles. And even now, you know, there's such a thing as conspicuous consumption of wealth, especially in this case, wealth that came from corruption. It's hard to explain, isn't it, Mr. Moji? Very hard, right? Your family is pretty well known, right, in the Indian community, correct? Correct, sir? How do you think your father would feel or your mother would feel? I really sympathize with them. You got yourself into this heap of problems, and you're answering. It's just like quicksand. The more you move, the more you go down. Can I have a copy of the letter of credit, credit letter, Mr. Wang? If it's not an LC, you must have a credit letter, correct? Or a certificate of credit, correct?
Yes,
Even if you did not use it, right?
yes, we did not use it.
You see, first you had a letter of credit, then you said, no, 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 we did not. It's really a credit. It's really a credit letter or a certificate of credit. And then after that, you say, oh, we did not use it. Okay, you did not use it. So how did you finance it? You used money provided by the government to fry the Filipinos out of their own lard so you can make more money.
Mr. Chairman,
That's how it appears to me. Forgive me.
we really did not have any advance payment from the government. All
How can you say that?
really, that is
The money
true.
that you got from the government, let's start with you had only 13 million, which was supposed to be only 8 million. And then about 4 days later, is it? You got 54 million, correct? How was it enough to pay 220 million later? And about 2 days later, how was it able to pay 600 million? I've been through this a number of times already. And I will keep going back to it, and it's going to be very difficult for you to explain it. And if you think you can worm yourself out of this by Mr. Ong saying, "Oh, I want to consult my client," you can, your lawyer, you can go ahead and consult your client till you're blue in the face. We will not give up on you. You know, the Filipino Indian community, I've been guest speaker there many times. I've been a long time ago. Uh, when I go to Hong Kong, I mean, I've not gone to Hong Kong in a long time. I remember, do you know Harry Harrella? Mr. Mojit, Harry Harrella?
I, I've heard of him, but I don't know him personally.
Well, he may be in Hong Kong, but he likes the Philippines, invests here. He owns a Holiday Inn in Hong Kong, right? And are you familiar with the group called Esquire? The money changing store
I've
that
heard
is
of
sold?
them as well.
Huh?
I've heard of them as well, Mr.
You
Chairman.
can borrow money there.
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
They give you quick money and they charge you interest, right?
I'm not sure of their business model, Mr. Chairman.
It's a business matter, and I have no business as a public official, as a senator investigating corruption and accountability of public officers. You're telling me, mind your own business? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I said, Mr. Chairman, is I'm not sure of their business model.
Sorry?
I'm not sure of the business model of Esquire, Mr. Chairman.
But you're familiar with it. It's about maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, I was beginning to investigate money coming in from abroad. No, that was a year and a half ago. I'm sorry. In the millions, and they were stopped at customs. They declared it. It was okay. Happiness in this country. It's easy to do business when you know how to slip money here and there. But at least the customs collector did not buy it, so he announced it. And to the credit of the Money Laundering Commission, I have not heard from them. But on the other hand, what we heard is that this guy Esquire Astoria was one of those involved. Now, like I said, the Indian community has been very, very prominent in this country, and there's a time when the ambassador from India would always come to Longport, Subic Bay, and I always admired the Indians because they're very, very hardworking, and some of the Indians were the highest Indians in the World Bank who helped me start Subic Bay. I don't see that in you right now. I see somebody who's sniveling, somebody who doesn't seem to know that he is in trouble, somebody who puts his pleasures first. Did you really give 10 million pesos to your girlfriend?
No, Mr. Chairman, I did not give 10 million pesos to my girlfriend.
Sorry?
No, Mr. Chairman, I did not give 10 million pesos to my girlfriend.
How much did you give her then?
I did not give her any money, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right, I'll take your word for it. I mean, so Senator Drilon is lying when he said that you gave 10 million? Where did he get that?
No, Mr. Chairman, I did not give her any
And
money,
then
and I don't.
you set them up in a corporation called Business Beyond Limits. Diba you set them up, including Miss Mago, Business Beyond Limits, diba?
Mr. Chairman, I think when Mohit brought this up to me,
Beyond Mercedes Custodio, Ana Marie Chua. Your girlfriend is a flight attendant, right? And they have a unit 1210 floor 4 Victoria Avenue, Tower C, Fifth Avenue. And who provided that unit? You did?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So you provided her with that unit.
I rented that unit for us to stay there before, but because of the COVID pandemic.
How much is the rental in that unit?
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
How much is the rental for that unit?
I believe it's around 30 or 35,000.
And you share the same buildings, but you're in a different building, right? Same towers, right?
Different tower, same building name.
Correct. And because of your love for this young woman, and I hope your love is pure, you set him up, you set her up very, very nicely in a nice office building, and set her up in business, which is good because at least they won't be working for anybody anymore, and they got a nice contract for $500 million. Sure.
No, Mr. Chairman. They don't have
I'm
any
sorry.
contracts of $500 million.
How much was it then? And this is for face shield again, the very famous face shields that Miss Mago talked about.
Yeah, this is, I think, also the one that's being put on hold and by the
I didn't
DOH.
ask that. I just said that they got an award from the government. And the award was, the bid price was, how much?
I believe it was 37 million.
Oh, see, when your memory wants to say it, it appears. 37 point,
Yeah,
37 billion,
Mr. Chairman,
870,000,
that's the
633.
reason why that's still
Do
fresh
you
in my
consider
memory
that
because
small
it's very
change?
recent.
Do you consider that small change? I mean, 37 million, point 8?
I did not say anything that's small, Mr.
No, but
Chairman.
I didn't announce it right away, but you did give it to your, who spotted them for it? Where did they get the money? From you.
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
Where did they get the money to supply all this?
They haven't supplied it, Mr. Chairman. That's the one that I'm trying to explain that the DOH put it on hold, so it hasn't
I
been
didn't ask that. I
accepted.
know that if they put it on hold, but they were ready to pay for that, right? They were ready to. They bought that, and DOH put them on hold. Who paid for those supplies? I'm sure
The
you did.
the no, it's a
Now you're
joint
suffering
venture.
so much,
It's a
you're having
joint
a very
venture
embarrassing
between
situation, correct?
it was a joint venture between Pharmally and
Now
BBL.
it's a joint venture. Why did you have to have a joint venture? Pharmally was doing well enough by itself.
As mentioned previously, I said that we wanted to give credentials to BBL.
Credentials. You're in the
Yes,
habit now of issuing credentials.
it's not really. It's more of a cooperation between the two companies.
No, you did it because you were in love with this girl and you wanted to give her a chance in life, correct? Come on, be honest at least.
Yeah, I'm in love with her, and
You mean
yes,
to
I
tell me your
wanted.
company is in the business of saying, I have a girlfriend, can you please supply them with money, spot them so they can go into business? They have to pay
Um,
rental, they have to pay people.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, I
I'm
didn't, Mr.
asking you, Mr. Wang,
Sorry.
you always come to the rescue, don't you? I'll answer it. Did you get the
sorry, what?
advance? Do you have a copy of the advance? You don't have a receipt for the advance for your cars, right?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Let me tell you how you guys operate. Mr. Ong told me that he was an interpreter. All right? But Mr. Ong has, show me the pictures, please. Mr. Ong has a Porsche Cayenne, registered March 26, 2019, and then a Lexus RCF, July 9, 2021, after all the big to do, and Porsche Carrera, February 2, 2021. Wow. And the price for the Cayenne is 8,850,000. And the Lexus is priced at 5.9 million. And the Porsche Carrera is priced at 13.5 million. Mr. Ong, is that loose change for you? Is that what they pay you for being an interpreter for Michael Yang? Yan ang binabayad sa'yo ni Michael Yang, ba? 13.5 million for a nice car? Kasi hindi ka makakatakas eh. Nandyan na yan eh. Ayun ang nakapangalan sa'yo, registered owner, Lincoln Uy. Talagang Uy, Ong. Uy, 13.5 million. Saan galing ang pera yan? Kinita mo yan sa sa pagka-translate kay Michael Yang? Wow, galing mo naman. Oh, ba't tatahimik ka? Uy, eto naman ang isa, Lexus RCF. Nabalik natin? Ganda ng Porsche. Ah, MB Lexus? Wow, L. Hilig kayo sa L. Lincoln, Lao, Leong. Hmm. Ha? Luho. Mahirap pagtanggol yan, Lincoln. Pinapawisan ka ba na malapot? ang sabi mo sa akin, ang sweldo mo lang ay 85 ta ano, hindi mo sinabi sa akin. Ikaw ay interpreter ni Mr. Yang. Siyempre nabighani ka, nakakapasok ka sa opisina ng presidente. Nakakasalimuha mo yung presidente. Sikat ka sa Malacanang, labas-pasok ka. Wow. Binigyan niya ng credentials itong, ano pangalan? Business Beyond Limits. Mr. Mojit. Kasi even Mojit acknowledges, you acknowledge companies like Pharmally should have the financial, legal, and technical capabilities before they win contracts with government agencies. Correct? Kailangan bigyan mo siya ng forma.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Bakit collection receipts ang issued at hindi OR?
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
Ba't collection receipts ang natatanggap nyo at hindi official receipts? At bakit naman tinanggap ng DBM na walang OR?
I don't know why the DBM accepted it, but I believe in replacement or another document as OR is the sales invoice, which we have submitted, and the collection receipt is a proof that we have accepted the collection.
Mojit, let's
That's my
step back a while.
understanding.
Let me join you for a while and imagine with me. You step back. The cards have been shown. You got a cash advance. You say it was oral, so you did not pay, and that now biglang cambio ka. Oh, there will be a contract later on, correct? Yun ang sinabi mo, right? Cash advance. Maybe I should ask the BIR. Mr. Commissioner, sir, ano po ba ang implications na walang official receipt ang pagtanggap ng cheque at puro collection receipts lang? Ano po ang indication nun? Commissioner Caesar? Sure? Mr. Commissioner, BIR, please. Mr.
Umalis na
Commissioner,
yata, sir, dahil sa
BIR dyan?
umalis na yan.
Uwi na sila. What about former Secretary Abisado? Secretary Abisado, yan ba ang normal operations nyo? Walang official receipts? Ang pagdagat ng cheque at puro collection receipts lamang? Hindi ba hindi nag-i-issue ng official receipts? Secretary Wendell? Secretary Wendell? Secretary Wendell Abisado? Hindi nyo kami may inis. Babalik kami at babalikan namin kayo. Hindi tatagal yung sinasabi ng presidente na hindi niya papupuntahin dito. And he will lose every day. He will lose votes. He will lose credibility every day because tinatago niya kayo, pinagtatanggol niya kayo. Wala na rin si Wendell Abisado? Can you call him? Maybe Warren Leong can answer if he cares to. Mr. Leong?
Chairman, I'm here. Sorry.
Yes. Ayun pala, Secretary Abisado, sorry.
Yes.
Tinatanong namin kayo, tinanong ko kay Cesar Dulay, wala na siya. Bakit hindi nag-offer, hindi nyo, walang official receipt ang pagtanggap ng cheque at puro collection receipt ang pagtanggap nila?
I wish I could answer that, Mr. Chairman. I really would not know the procedure being done at the PSDPN because
So, you're saying na they're on their own. Hindi sila
yes,
sumusunod sa inyo.
yes, Mr. Chairman.
Wala kayong influence sa solar. Pag nakialam kayo, baka isumbong kayo sa taas. Ganun ba yan?
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, I'm the one kasi releasing the funds. and then they're implementing it. So it's kind of very irregular kung makikialam talaga ako because baka sasabihin na ano naman, meron naman akong
Interest.
personal involvement. No? So,
Di ba
yun,
totoo yun? Sinabihan kayo ng isang mataas sa kabinete na sabi, pagka makialam dyan, isasabit ka namin.
hindi naman. Wala po nagsabi sa akin yan.
Well, it's up to you to say that, but I heard that. I mean, maybe it's not worth the spit. Natatataka lang ako, bigla kayong umalis eh. Alam nyo, nasayangan ako sa inyo dahil matino naman kayong kausap. Pero irregular nga kanyo, pag makikialam kayo, irregular pa yan. Di ba nakikita nyo, hindi tama yung procedure? Hindi kayo makikialam, nasa DBM kayo secretary, tapos itong si Lau can do anything that he wants?
Hindi ko kasi alam yung operations nila, Mr. Chairman. I was at the department proper. And so, pagka po meron lang mga isasangguni sa akin, administrative matters, that's where I act on them. But operations or otherwise, talagang sila lang po ang nagpapatakbo talaga.
Mr. Leong, anong sagot mo, Mr. Leong?
Your Honor, the finance department is not under me, but as far as I know, they issue receipts, Your Honor.
No, that we have here, what we have are collection receipts, and we have it.
Yeah, maybe
Check it
the PSDBM can clarify that, Mr. Chairman. But
Kasi ba si Mr. Lau? Hindi na siya umattend dahil cabinet member pa siguro siya. In mufti, nakatago. Ha? Pinauwi na siguro, no? Sumasabit na lahat, eh. Yan ang problema. Kaya, kayo managot sa taong bayan. At sa husgado. Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang. Ano pangalan niya? John Sell, diba? Sabi nito.
Chairman, sorry.
It might help us if you tell us who you personally dealt with the Union Bank for the issuance of the certificate of credit.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't personally deal with the Union Bank on this matter as I was overseas. That's why we
No,
appointed.
you call somebody, they're not just going to give you a certificate of credit without knowing. You know, one of the key fundamental duties of a bank is to know your customer.
Mr. Chairman, allow me to check with the company on that, on our communications, so that I can tell you, because
You even have $1 billion pesos and you're saying you don't know who you dealt with. You know, we've already filled this part of the investigation with your, you know, you try to escape by making all kinds of allegations and changing the allegations. Back to Mojit, I'm going to ask you again. You got an advance of how much for the car? For your sister?
I got an advance of 18 million for my sister's car, Mr. Chairman.
And for your car, how much did you get an advance for?
For my car, I did not use the advance of the company, Mr. Chairman.
And you had money of your own.
I had personal savings of my own, Mr. Chairman.
And how did you generate those savings? Were you a big businessman, or, as you say, a stock player of the stock market?
I've just been investing in stocks, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
You can check, and find out kung ano yung mga stocks mo, kung kumita ka, be able to buy a nice unit, buy your girlfriend a nice unit, set her up with credentials. Did Michael Young know that you were engaging in another company that will that will sell product?
Michael Young doesn't know any of my private engagement, and I don't have to tell him any of my private life, Mr. Chairman.
So he didn't know. Would he take kindly to it if he knew that you were already skimming away and going to another company?
I leave that to Michael Young to answer, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. I guess it's always good old Michael, isn't it? By the way, you promised to give us the contact details of Jeff Mariano. Have you given it?
I'll send it. I'll send it now, Mr. Chairman, to the email. Sorry.
Do I need to remind you about it? Senator Dillon would like to have it. By the way, Gerald Cruz is also beyond business limits OPC, right? Chief Financial Officer? Yes?
I believe so, Mr. Chairman.
I don't ask questions that I don't know the answer for. I'm just trying to make sure that you answer it and confirm it. Right? He was the Chief Financial Officer. And you know that he was Michael Yang's EA, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. How do you know that?
Through Mr. Lincoln Ong.
And you know why you're not too hot because you're saying I'm accusing you of lying, but you did lie when you said that you were working for the office of the President of the Philippines, particularly under the senior advisor of the President, who happens to be from the People's Republic of China. Do you think you'll ever be appointed a senior advisor? Or do you think Xi Jinping will appoint you also in China as his financial advisor? Are you a Filipino citizen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
But you do have another passport, don't you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And what passport is that?
Spanish, Mr. Chairman.
Spanish passport, all right? And you are a Spanish citizen as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So how convenient. Well, I will have more questions to ask Mr. Senator Frank. You know, they're playing a game and I'm willing to play that game. I'm not tired at we sent you a letter, Mr. Ong, to clarify, by the way, in your and you said you recognize the Senate's request for names, addresses, contact numbers, and other details of the 4 suppliers introduced by Michael Yang, aka Yong Hong Min. Are those 4 suppliers sila Meow Meow? Sila ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sino yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sino nga yan? Si Meow Meow?
Pardon, Mr. Chairman?
Sino yung 4 suppliers na sila?
One of the contact is Meow Meow. Yes po.
Sintue?
Gentui?
You heard me.
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Tamo, narinig mo na ako. Hindi mo sasagutin. Su Tian Yun?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman, yes po.
Tiga rito ba yung mga yan o sa China?
Taga China po.
Lahat sila tiga China. Sarap ng buhay ng mga Chinese, ano? Para silang may-ari ng Pilipinas. Ikaw, anak ka ng Chinese Filipino. Nagkaroon ka ng citizenship, correct? Hindi ka ba
Yes po,
proud sa
Mr.
tatay
Chairman.
mo? Hindi ka proud sa pagkatao mo? Tatay mo, Chinese, pero inelect na mag-Filipino. By choice. By choice, di ba?
Mr. Chairman, I'm always a proud Filipino. Mahal na mahal ko po ang Pilipinas, Mr. Chairman.
Really, you're very strange way of showing it. Nice cars during a pandemic. Na talagang hirap na hirap ang tao, getting all the contracts. And you are a wheeler-dealer, in fact. Ang galing mo eh. Kung tinanong si Mago, paano nangyari yan? May sagot ka agad si Lincoln Ong kung gusto niya sagutin. Si Lincoln Ong po ang kumuha ng supplier. Pero kalahati lang binigay mo sa amin. Ang binigay mo lang, hindi ba, sa totoo lang, Tiger Phil, pahirapan pang binigay mo. Tama? Tama o hindi?
Nag-disclose po ako agad, Tiger Phil.
Philippine, mapahirapan pa eh. Kunyari, hindi mo pa matandaan eh. Then, meron ko pa sinabi si Wang Jin.
Wang Jie, yes po.
Pero hindi mo sinabi, meron pa palang Green Trends.
I have no idea about the green trends po. Kasi ang kausap ko po si Tiger Phil,
Alam mo
Mr.
na
Chairman.
ito si Mr. Paano si ng Tiger Field ay kumuha ng supply sa ibang tao, correct?
Ang kausap ko lang po si Tiger Phil. Kung ano po yung dealings na, I have no idea.
I'd like to order the OSA at this point to give Mr. Ong a pen and paper and write the Chinese names down for us. Please write down their names in Chinese characters and then pinyin and English names. Kwai.
Ano po yun, Mr. Chairman?
Yung 4 suppliers na sinabi mo, isulat mo lang yung pangalan nila sa Chinese characters at saka sa pinyin.
Mr. Chairman, hindi ko po kayang sulatin in a Chinese character.
Akala ko ba translator ka? Laki na sweldo mo, nakakakotse ka, tatlo eh. Siga ka nga masyado eh.
Mr. Chairman, hindi ko po kaya mag-Chinese character.
Pagka meron kang lusot, hindi mo kaya. Si Wang Jie.
Yes po, about kay Wang Jie.
Nasa si Wang Jie?
Last time nabanggit ko po yung
pangalan.
pangalan.
Pilipino, pero wala kang kinukuha ang Filipino supplier, no? Diba, Senator Jerome, mahal na mahal niya ang Pilipino. Did you hear it right? Mahal niya. Pero kinukuha niya panay Chinese supplier.
Mr. Chairman, if I may share a short story.
No. I'm not asking for your short stories. I will ask you to translate what I'm about to say. Bo choy kang, bo tansya. Ano ibig sabihin nun?
If I understand correctly, no work, no pay, something like that.
Wala kang, kung hindi ka magtatrabaho, hindi ka kakain. Yan ba sinagawa mo? Trabaho ba yan? O talagang pandilin lang sa bansa natin na mahal mo? Bo choy kang, bo tansya. Aray. Ang bilis mo magkakotse, 3 pa. Bo choy kang, bo tansya. Ayoko sabihin to, pero may salita kayo na natutuhan ko rin. Ang tawag doon, sampasyaw. Hindi ko sinasabing ikaw yan. Alam mo ibig sabihin ng sampasyaw, di ba?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Ano ibig sabihin ng sampasyaw? Ikaw lang sabi.
Ako, Mr. Chairman, parang pong loko-loko.
Tarantado, di ba? Sampasyaw. Di ba? Yes, Frank, Senator Giron, sorry. Nakakapagod ito.
Can I ask a few questions on our witness? Yeah. May I know, okay, you mentioned in your testimony that Tiger Phil was one of your suppliers. You also mentioned Green Trends, is that correct?
No, Mr. Chairman. I never mentioned green trend.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to reconfirm, Mr. Ong. First, you mentioned Tiger Phil.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Other than Tiger Phil, are there other suppliers that supplied
Wang
your...
Jie, Mr. Wang Jie.
Oh, sorry?
Wang Jie. Wang Jie.
Can you spell that, please?
W-A-N-G.
W?
Mr. Chairman, in fact, I think I submitted already the list, including the contact numbers.
Ganun. So, Mr. Chairman,
Opo. Pero I can...
yeah, do we have that list, if I may ask, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Ong,
Are you in possession of that list already? Mr. Kimbo?
important to me. Do you have that list and the contact numbers? You submitted that, Mr. Ong.
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
I have the names, that's why I should have the list. I don't have the contact numbers. I was the one who supplied them the list, remember? Sintwei, Su Tian Yun, Chang Hong, Akong Loko. No, I'm just kidding. Meow.
Mr. Chairman,
I have to use myself because I've been
I
taking
just, because as long as that executive order exists, we cannot ask government. So I'm asking, I'm trying to exhaust, I'm going to exhaust our inquiry and ask the private sector on issues which we otherwise cannot get because of the prohibition. That is totally unconstitutional. But may I ask our committee secretary uh, to confirm on the record that we have the listing of the suppliers of Pharmally and their corresponding contact address.
Your Honor,
Sorry?
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes, please. May, with the permission of the chairman.
A letter was sent by the chairman, Senator Gordon, to the council of Mr. Lincoln Ong to remind them that they had incomplete submissions. And specifically, number 2, provide the committee the names, addresses, and contact numbers and other details of the 4 suppliers introduced to you by Mr. Michael Yang, aka Yang Hongming, and the contracts entered into with suppliers to supply the PSDBM. So the explanation of the lawyer is this. Per Mr. Ong, he will not provide for the same first reasons given. And above that, Per Mr. Ong, he previously mentioned that as far as he is concerned, he has already provided the committee with the complete delivery receipts. Kindly please check again the contents of the flash drive. So he will not provide for the same reasons first given, which is that he had provided as the list. But precisely why this letter was written was because we could not find that list. So insofar as the committee secretariat, Your Honor, is concerned, we do not have that list.
Okay, so Mr. Ong, you heard our the committee secretary. Can you provide us? See, you said you have provided us with a copy. Apparently, it is not in our records.
Mr. Chairman, I'm really sorry. I will provide this. I definitely will provide.
I'm sorry. You will provide it.
I will definitely provide. After the hearing, I will call my lawyer.
Okay, that's good, Mr. Chairman. If he can provide the listing of all the suppliers of Pharmally and their contact address, I would appreciate it. And Mr. Chairman, we will, with the cooperation of Mr. Ong, little by little, maybe I personally can be can have some leeway insofar as the contempt charges are concerned, but we do hope that he gives us a little cooperation. And to start with, the names of the suppliers of Pharmally, their contact addresses, and if he's willing to, the amount of the contracts of these Pharmally suppliers. To the extent that you can, Mr. Ong. Is that feasible? Can you?
As for the list, Mr. Chairman, as for the list, I really like to cooperate, and then I will definitely even update it, not limited to Mr. Yang's, including Wang Jie. I already mentioned the Tiger Field. I include also the contact details of BGI and other suppliers. That we can definitely comply with you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ong. Our good chairman heard that, and we'll be expecting some form of cooperation from your good self. You know,
Mr.
So,
Chairman, may I, Senator Drilon, may I? Mr. Chairman, wala po akong, I don't get to hold my phone, so I only get to use, I only get to talk to my wife and counsel using the phone of the Senate. But, you know, baka naman po.
I address that to the chairman. I do not have control over that. It is the chairman
Wala.
who decide on that. And I am sure if you show some cooperation, it can be reciprocated, Mr. Witness. But if you keep on holding, putting stumbling blocks all over the place, natural lamang, you would be very strict in the application of the rules. But
Sorry.
as far as that specific request is concerned, I would address that to our chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Drilon.
So, okay. I would be away.
Actually,
Yeah.
just for the record, Senator Dillon, you keep passing it on to me. I'm not the one in charge of his detention. We all of us made that decision.
Yes.
And the standard procedure of the Sergeant at Arms, so that hindi sila maisahan. Pinagagamit yung telepono ng Senate at yung kanilang telepono, hindi sila makagamit.
Security procedure.
Security procedure yun, nasa security procedure na.
Mr. Chairman, excuse my ignorance. I'm just speculating on what the actual procedure is because I am not privy to it.
They're trying to make it appear na tayo masasabang tao dito, that we're monsters. We don't. We've been trying to get help. They don't want to help. They want to line their pockets, have nice cars, have all the things that they want in life. Depende sa kanya yan eh. Maybe if they cooperate, alam mo, Lincoln, ginagamit mo pa yung mga kaibigan namin para tumawag sa akin. Hindi na nga ako kumikibo doon eh. Diba?
I have a request up to you to dispose, up to Mr. Ong to respond to it, and I will just await for his response. So I will have questions once I have those information from Mr. Ong.
Are you going to give the answers, Mr. Lincoln Ong? You're able to call your lawyer. In fact, your lawyer is watching right now, isn't he?
Yes, Attorney Don Apulan is
That your lawyer is not watching over you.
I hope he's watching over me because
I know you know.
Is Tiger Phil in attending the hearing now?
Excuse me,
Yes,
Senator Duran, I just want him to submit, if he really is sincere, submit it to us as soon as you get back to your quarters.
Okay.
Yung hinihingi ni Senator Dillon.
Sige.
Fair?
Sige po.
Fair?
the list. Yes, definitely as soon as possible.
Hindi as soon as possible. The moment we're done, the moment you get back to your quarters, submit it to us.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
Actually-
submit it to Senator Dillon para if he's happy. Submit it to both me and Senator Dillon and the other senators.
I have no means of a tool to submit that as I have to coordinate with my team. I think they have. I surely they have that list. I have to coordinate with them.
What about your accountant? Si Jeff Mariano? Hindi ko kayo maintindihan eh. Ang laki-laki ng kontrata nyo. Ginagamit nyo si
Mr.
Miss
Chairman, putol-putol po kayo.
Libinada Sebial. Sorry mama, Sebias ang nasabi ko. Iniisip ko kasi yung sibuyas eh. Kanina sinabi ko yun eh. Habang binabalatan natin ito, nakakaiyak talaga eh. Pero yung accountant, 4,000 ang sweldo. Totoo ba yun, Lincoln? Tapos pinapaharap yun. Mamaya, wawalan pa siya ng lisensya dahil sa mga ginagawa niyang mali. Hindi niyo ba maibigay pati yung donation ninyo na sinasabi niyo?
Alam yung mga dito man, I am not aware of the engagement of our firm with the accounting firm. Hindi ko alam yung mga detalya.
Sino may nakakalam? Sino nakakalam? Pipito lang kayo dyan sa kumpanya nyo eh.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, ano po ulit? Sorry.
Pipito lang kayo sa kumpanya ninyo. Hindi mo pa alam kung sino may hawak.
Okay, maybe we can ask Huang or si Mr. Mohit.
Tinanong na namin siya eh. Binibigay niya sa amin yung kanyang doon, yung kanyang email.
Ayun po.
Well, do what you will and we'll see what we can do. All right? Now I'd like to ask Mr. Mohit with the permission of Senator Frank. Mr. Mohit, where's your father now?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman.
You don't know where your father is? There's a COVID pandemic going on. You don't know where your father is? A good son would always try to remember his father. Are you a good son? That seems to run among your friends. Mr. Wang doesn't know where his father is. Right, Mr. Wang? Yonsen? That's your name, right? Anglicized name. Yonsen, is that correct?
Jensen, yes, that's correct.
Jensen.
Yes.
Jensen. See, I know more about you than you think you know.
Mm.
So you don't know where your father is? Mohit Dargani doesn't know where his father is? What precipitated the loss of your father in your family? Mr.
I don't understand. I don't understand the question.
Mr. Mohit. Mr.
Mr.
Mohit,
Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
what precipitated the departure of your father from your home?
He was not getting along with my mom.
You couldn't get along with your mom.
And Mr. Chairman, I believe this is already a very personal and private matter that it's about
No,
our
it's
family. It has
irrelevant.
nothing to do with the
It's
investigation.
irrelevant. Well, you can get mad at me if you like. You continue to
Getting
lie.
mad,
I will
Mr.
treat you
Chairman.
the way you are treating yourself. Personal? Di ba Indians love their parents? I'm just asking. Don't you love your parents? No matter what happened? Don't give me that song and dance. I've seen that before. So you don't know where your father is. Is he still in Manila?
I really don't know. I think he's just in the Philippines, but where in the Philippines, I really don't know, Mr. Chairman.
How did you happen to get a Spanish passport?
My mom is
Why
Spanish.
do you need two passports? Two citizenships. Why? Cannot answer also. That part of an escape plan? And I'm sorry, I really don't enjoy this. Akala nyo I enjoy it. I do not enjoy it. If you lie, if you keep evading, if you keep conducting evasive action, I will continue to ask. Senator Gelor will continue to ask. Not very pretty, but yes, it's the way it is. And some of us who still treat our oath seriously. All right, Senator Antiveros, you were supposed to be on deck.
No, thank you, Chairman. I had to step out only a while to chair the budget hearing of the Department of Human Settlements, but I came back to listen to the hearing, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po.
All right. So, Senator Dillon, you have any more questions?
No more, I will await the information that Mr. Ong promised the committee and we'll ask the questions at that time. If Mr. Ong can provide the committee with the information that I requested, as he has promised, maybe we can save time because we will ask for the appearance of these people. We will invite them. When can you provide us the list or the information that I requested, Mr. Ong?
Mr. Chairman, as long as I get to return to my to my detained area, and then I ask the OSAA to lend me a phone, and I'll make the call. I think you should be getting it in the Senate Blue Ribbon email within the day. I think, yeah. But for the updated one, I cannot promise, as I don't have the means and tools.
Whatever, yes. Even if not updated, that would be much appreciated. And I would submit to the chairman's discretion as to whether or on how we can secure this information that we're asking for. And we will ask the questions afterwards, and a few other questions once we have this data that you have requested. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I will await for this information and have more questions to ask.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief manifestation because earlier I saw Mr. Wang. I think he was shedding tears. I saw the difficulty also that Mohit Dargani was experiencing, trying to answer the necessary questions being posed by our committee. I just want to speak in the same spirit as the chairman expressed to them that no one enjoys having to ask difficult or even painful questions, but they are necessary for us to all try to get to the truth. Our committee isn't trying to hurt anyone else. We are just trying to find justice, Mr. Chairman. I believe that's what the Blue Ribbon is about. Find justice for those who have been injured by what we perceive is wrongdoing in the use of government funds. So just to express, Mr. Chairman, that feeling with them, yet challenging them to continue to answer the questions of the committee even more and more completely and truthfully for the sake of the people, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
I see people crying every day in my life as a Red Cross volunteer. People who lost their relatives. People who cannot make do for a simple request of blood, and we give them blood. We provide for the RVN sisters, 9 of whom have died without asking. We just go there and help. We are in Batanes and people are crying because they have no rooftops because the storm has blown it away. The typhoon has blown it away. I see people trying to get their lives back in Bicol, building homes for themselves, with GI sheets, and in Albay, building actual homes. I see people getting dialysis in our Red Cross centers, free dialysis. They have tears in their eyes. I don't even want to go there, Mr. Dergani, I don't even want to go there. Or Lincoln Ong, makonsensya naman kayo. Because when I go there, may mga tao hinahawakan yung kamay ko, hinahalikan yung kamay ko, nagpapasalamat. Kundi raw sa akin, wala na raw sila. Patay na sila nung araw pa. There are people who are having a hard time. And don't you tell me you have a hard time. By the way, I don't mind telling you, Mr. Gargani and Mr. Lincoln Ong, your friend told me about your parents. So sabi nila, namimiss nyo raw ang tatay nyo. Tinanong ko lang yun dahil sabi niya, yung tatay nyo namimiss nyo. Because I know how it is. Parang OFW kami nung ang tatay ko at nanay ko nung nasa Olonga pa sila. So 6 hours away when I was going to school and I had to go to Manila and study here with my sisters, and we would cry going to school. Yes, I know the feeling. Yesterday, Senator Arroyo of the Blue Ribbon Committee, who died last year, the same time, October 5. I was there for the mass. Sure, I had tears inside me. They show it. Because we lost a good man. I lost my classmate. I just found out today. So, Senator Antiveros, please favor me by not telling the public that they're crying because they might get sympathy. I have no sympathy for these people because they keep lying to us. They keep lying to us at the expense of the people of this country. Because they know, tama yung sinabi ni Senator Jeron, MBA sila eh. May malakas akong backer. May backer ako. So spare me. Spare me.
I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. And anyway, I guess you don't know how hard it is. Last night we slept at 5:30 studying all this. And let me just tell you, folks, we work really, really hard not to enjoy ourselves here. It's a pain to see young people like Lincoln, 33 years old, huh? Lincoln, 33 years old?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you own a cement factory in Pangasinan,
Ay-
correct?
Parang wala naman po.
Huh?
Ay, wala po, wala po.
Come from a very prominent family in Pangasinan, correct?
No po, hindi po.
Saan ka?
Simpleng tao lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Saan kayo? Simpleng tao kayo, pero I wish I had your simple life. 33 years old. Nice car. Lexus. Nice car. Ano yung kotse? Hindi ko nga ma-pronounce eh. Porsche. Ha? Porsche. Porsche. Ano pa isa? Dalawang Porsche. Ang kilala ko lang Porsche nung araw, yung nabasa ko sa Merchant of Venice. Anyway, with the permission of the body, I will suspend the hearing. It's a game of stamina. And if you think the filing of the certificate of candidacy will deter me, I really don't give a damn about what you think. I just give a damn of giving justice to our people. I don't know about the others. I can only speak for myself. Niloloko lang ako minsan. This Duterte versus Gordon. I don't want to fight with Duterte. He's very strong, very powerful. And if he thinks he can bully everybody, I do not intend to be bullied. I do not want to fight. I'm a peaceful man. But what a nice privilege to fight for justice in this country. I'm sure Senator Duran feels that. So, let me just suspend this hearing. You know, Jojo Binay's investigation, I think, took about, how many, 27 hearings? You know, pagbigyan ko na muna si Tony Leachon. Tagal ka nang pupunta dito. Bakit ba nandito ka? What is your interest, Tony? You're always here.
Sir, I was invited to say my position on the COVID pandemic response. And if you remember, sir, I spoke on the second day on the
Yes.
rationalization of vaccines.
Yeah.
And I think my presence here, though I'm not speaking, sir, is in support of the Senate hearing, particularly on this huge issue, sir. And if there are questions, sir, on the COVID pandemic response, I'm willing to help, sir. And just for the record, sir, I'm here to support all the senators in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, to seek justice and to stand firm, sir, on what is.
Do you think that all these shenanigans has an effect in the impact? Do you think that the presence of the cabinet members really have an impact when they work in the office or they work at home, which is far more important?
So I think the COVID pandemic response is actually anchored on good leadership and governance, and therefore accountability is key. They should be present in this meeting because if
If you were president, do you think these people will last a minute longer with what you've heard?
I don't think so, sir.
I agree with you. If I were president, which I'm not, they would have been kicked out a long time ago, and they would have been facing a formal investigation. But I don't understand why the president insists on doing it. He's changed a lot. Sometimes when you're in power, you get giddy. Tony, you have any more suggestions for COVID here in this country?
Yes, sir. Reflecting on the Bloomberg Resilience Ranking, I think we're having cases right now at around 13,000 to 15,000, but this may be short-lived, sir, because of the lack of infrastructure like healthcare capacities. And based on the Bloomberg Resilience Ranking, if the positivity rate is high, we're down right now to about 20%. We're the second actually worst in the world next to Mexico. And the other thing is our vaccination rate.
Isa bawat 5 Pilipino ay may tama ng COVID, correct?
That's correct, sir. 1 in every 5, sir, will be actually be positive.
And
So
they
the
had provided it earlier, imbis na ginastos na kung saan-saan. Would we be
yes, sir.
better off?
I fully agree, sir. If we rechannel some of the funding, sir, in for the face shield and face mask, sir, to the testings, I think we should be all right by this time. And then the vaccination rates, sir, most of the countries in the world are actually back in business because of the high vaccination rate. If you look at, sir, at the top 10 in the world right now, 8 out of 10, sir, are actually from Europe, and no other country has scored less than 70% in the vaccination rate. So it means that to get back in business, the country has actually addressed the positivity rate by using all the available diagnostic tools like rapid antigen test, the RT-PCR, and of course a guideline should be put in place. The US FDA, sir, just announced today the rapid antigen test should be part of the armamentarium for rapid diagnosis so that you can isolate the patient as well. The vaccination rate, I think, sir, we should actually plan for the boosters. If we're not planning for that, sir, you cannot just order vaccine today. In order to sandbag, sir, you need to order today, and then you get the stock for in the next 6 months. But if we're not going to think about the boosters, other countries are doing right now, Singapore is doing right now, US doing right now. We cannot just get the mRNA vaccines because the only ones approved for the booster is actually the mRNA, and that's actually Pfizer or Moderna. So we're behind, sir. And if we're behind in the vaccination, then we will not get the herd immunity. And if we will not get the herd immunity, we will not reopen the economy and bring back our lives to normalcy.
You know, Mr. Leachon, Dr. Leachon, I cannot believe that people like, for whatever they say about him, Secretary Duque, or for that matter, Secretary Galvez, and many others there, I think they try hard, but maybe, I don't know what's missing. I just hope that we can find out what's missing para we can solve this problem. But anyway, I thank you for your comments, and with the permission of our colleagues here and for those who are in attendance and those who are following, may we ask that we reset the hearing on Monday or Tuesday next week, which is the preference of everybody.
Yes, whatever.
Uh,
Yes, at your pleasure, Mr. Chairman.
shall we make it October 11 Monday? Is that correct?
Okay, fine, sir. What time?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. is fine. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Senator. See, I can't even remember now. Senator Risa,
So October
Chairman, Mr.
11,
Chairman.
11.
11 Monday. 11 Monday.
11 a.m.
I just want to get this, if you think I don't want to get this over with, we can get this done better if these people cooperate. But would you gentlemen like, if you like, we can come out with a release already, preliminary release by that time, by Monday? Would that be all right with you? I will circulate it. Or we just do it on Tuesday so you can have time to get it over the weekend and mull over it on Monday, and then on Tuesday we come out with the release, whichever comes first.
Yes, we submit to the discretion of the chairman.
Okay, sir. Right now, I will schedule it on Tuesday, and we'll try to get you the preliminary interim report because I think baka magalit na naman ng presidente na sabihin tinatagalan natin. Well, Mr. President, we have to finish this because ang dami pang hindi nakukuha. Ayaw magsabi yung mga tauhan nyo rito kung saan kinuha yung pera, kung sino pinagbilihan nila para malaman natin ang punot dulo. So we'll do that. If you don't mind, we'll do it October 12. We'll aim for distribution of the reports by that time.
So we still have the hearing on Monday at 11 a.m.
Tuesday is the hearing. Monday, to give it time because we'll try to finish it over the weekend. Tapos na tapos, and then we can give it on Tuesday for everybody you can make the announcement yourself if you like.
Okay, whatever.
Right. We might have a call on Monday to find out kung ma-announce na natin.
Okay, yes sir.
Pag-uusapan pa natin yan eh. Hindi lang naman akong gagawa niyan, hindi lang tayo.
Yes sir.
So Tuesday it is October the 12th. And if we can do it earlier, then we'll try to do it so that we
So
can.
one time on Tuesday, sir.
11 o'clock, sir. 11 o'clock.
Okay.
All right.
So with that, we move to suspend our sessions until the 12th of October at 11 a.m.
So ordered. Session is suspended until October 12 at 11 o'clock a.m. Thank you very much, sir.